So let's go ahead and get rolling since we've got a bunch of folks out there and Kimberly on the line. So welcome everybody to this digital event, part of our Look Who's RevOps AF digital events series, where we are today going to be talking about project management in RevOps. So before I turn things over to Kimberly and let her kind of introduce herself and the topic, for everyone out there, you probably know me, Matt Boehm, CEO and co-founder of RevOps Co-op. I mentioned the digital event series, Look Who's RevOps AF. This is part of our, or I guess inspired by our conference, which we are going to be holding at the end of May in beautiful San Diego, RevOps AF 2024, where we are going to have 250 plus people there over the course of 2 days. We'll be having lots of great sessions. We've got folks like Hillary Headley, who's the former head of global sales ops at Zoom. We'll have Sid Kumar, who's the current SVP of RevOps at HubSpot, and a lot of other folks that are putting together content and sessions at the conference. And then I want to mention we actually just finalized our networking events that we're doing as well, which are very cool. So I've got to give a shout out to these. We're going to have 4 different options for you if you attend. You can participate in this tacos, tequila, and tombstones event, which is literally a taco and tequila tasting along with a ghost tour. So that one's going to be lots of fun. We'll have yoga and meditation on the beach as one option as well. We're going to have an Ocean Beach brewery tour where you can visit 3 different breweries along with a bunch of your RevOps friends. And then we're even going to have a ferry ride and a Coronado Island walking tour. So outside of the sessions that I mentioned, there will be tons of great networking events that you can participate in as well to just experience San Diego and get to know some people. So RevOpsAF.com, I'll throw that in the chat if anyone wants to learn more or snag your ticket. But like I said, this digital event is wanting to highlight people who are out there who are RevOps AF, and Kimberly is a great example of that. And so she's going to dive into kind of her process, really tell this story around how she landed in her new role at Rose Rocket, how she kind of identified all these challenges, all these problems that she was having, identified some solutions, turned out it was in this project management kind of arena. And so, Kimberly, I'm going to turn things over to you and kind of let you start to roll through the slides and kind of tell your story and maybe do a quick introduction for folks as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for the intro. And I'm really excited for the conference that you're having. It sounds so amazing. Hopefully I can come to the next one. Big thanks for this opportunity to speak today. I'm super excited. Give me 2 seconds here. All right. I'm going to do a quick intro just so people have context of sort of like where I'm coming from as a person in RevOps. So I'm currently in a RevOps lead role at Rose Rocket, and Rose Rocket is for trucking software. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, from Australia originally, if anyone can hear an accent happening. My background is actually in marketing. I have a marketing degree, and I usually, working in small companies, as I will allude to, ended up doing sales ops. And then it all ended up, because I'm operationally minded, kind of just leading me down this RevOps path. I've been in startups and small to medium-sized businesses for, I think, 11 years now, if I'm doing correct math, which I only realized recently. It's quite a long time. And then I would say about 9 of those years were in RevOps adjacent roles. So again, marketing operations being pretty, it's all kind of like the same stuff if you really think about it. It's just like contextually and with subjects of slight difference. But this is actually my first legit RevOps title, which I was really excited about. And this company is a little bit bigger than I have experience. But yeah, very excited to be really, I feel like it really put me in the RevOps world, and very, very organized, as we will see. I love being organized. My team is super organized too, so we work really well together. But that's who I am and where I'm coming from. The agenda we're going to go through, Matt was discussing this. I'm going to frame everything with the challenges that I was seeing first as a newcomer to this team and this company, and then walk through like how we addressed all of those challenges. And then I laid out everything side by side, which turns out to be such a good exercise. It really helps you put everything together. And everyone's been teasing me about this lately, but I can't stop talking about Notion. I'm not sponsored by Notion. I know a lot of people use Notion, but I'm relatively new to it and absolutely love it. So I'm going to talk about our Notion, give a little quick tour, and then actually just walk through, like, if you were like super inspired by this and you wanted to start tomorrow, just the quick steps that you would literally need to do to get going. So that's what I'm going to walk through. So when I came into this role, it was July 2023, so it's been about 10 months. The team at the time was a specialist, a manager, and a lead. Org size total is about 150 of the entire company. So when I moved here, this was a much bigger company than what I've worked at, and it's not even that big in the scheme of things. So really interesting extra context there. And the GTM, obviously RevOps here, we're supporting the GTM side of the company, and that's about 50 people, 50 heads. And then the RevOps lead that was here, she went on leave, and that's when I joined to come in and help the team. And I'm excited for her to come back soon, and I will be continuing to work with the team. And then jumping right into what I observed. So our team definitely owns too much stuff. That is still true today. We've been working on that, but what it meant for us is that we're always near capacity. We keep an eye on, are we working late? Are we feeling like we can do really good quality work, or are we like feeling kind of the crunch all the time? The nature of a RevOps team, RevOps teams are service teams. They're supporting several other teams in go-to-market. So you do have to have you have to be really nimble and agile. You have to be able to change up what you're doing and reprioritize really quickly. But when you do have too much stuff, it's really hard to do that and feel comfortable. And, the discomfort is a sign that stuff needs to change. Like I said, we own some stuff that we shouldn't. And that's why the overall load, we want to be getting lots of requests from our teams, but we want them to be coming from the right teams, and we want to be working on the right stuff. An example of some stuff that we still own that we shouldn't, there's a lot of work that one of my team members does to do with our product provisioning. We're a software company. So when someone buys our product, and we've had a lot of change go on with our product. So as you know, all the changes result in sometimes it can result in overhead for the RevOps team, and just there's doing the work, but then there's updating documentation and process and making sure you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's. No surprise here for people that know RevOps really well. You're always going to be reactive to a certain extent. You have to react to what's going on around you and help people. But we just felt that the balance was way off. We were just almost completely reactive. And that means that you're not doing anything proactive, not only for the other teams, but for your own team and yourselves. So the balance was too off. The project management tool that we were using when I came in was Asana. It's not one of the worst ones out there. I think Monday, I've had worse experience with Monday.com, but our knowledge base was in Notion. So I was feeling like we weren't getting bang for our buck in Asana at all. The reporting was almost non-existent. So we really felt like, well, why are our worlds separate? And Asana just was I was struggling with it being helpful. No visibility into completed work. That's the reporting piece I was just saying. What we have now gives us so much information. So this was something that needed to be solved for. The prioritization framework that we had, you don't actually want to have too complex of a prioritization framework, but it's like P1, P2, and I can't remember if we had a P3 or if it was just backlog, but today we don't have P3. It's just 1, 2, and backlog. But what I've ended up adding to our overall framework, like this is fine for prioritizing, but you need to bolster it with other stuff, which we are going to look at. So I'm excited to talk about that. The other thing is that on our team, we all have to know how to do everything. We do not have specialization in our team right now, and there's only a few things that are definitively owned. Our very top level GTM reporting, super conclusive. One of my team members definitely owns that. Commissions is very well done by my other team member, but there's a lot of things that we do all need to know how to do. And so it is interesting having these conversations with the team, because in the beginning they were like, oh, like not super interested in specializing. But now that we've done all of these changes and we've worked together for a while, they are a little bit more interested in specializing. And it's definitely, there's a lot of, dependencies. It depends where you are. What are you doing? What's the rest of the company like? How, you got to make a decision at some point when that makes sense. And obviously I always want to make sure that the team, I don't like to force things on people. I like to work with people, and that's part of why with all these challenges that I was seeing, I didn't want to come in and change everything because, the lead that was in this role before me she's amazing. I can't wait to work, with her. I didn't get to work a lot with her when I came in. There was a little bit of overlap, but she ran a good team. And so these are not things that are like, it's the team's fault, but I'm going to talk a bit more about some of this in the next slide. A couple more points on this one in terms of challenges. Our infrastructure and data landscape really needed love. This is just like literally the tech stack didn't really have an owner. And the data hygiene, we still have a lot of issues with data hygiene. And, I think most companies do have some sort of, and, there's so much room for, data issues to crop up when you have so many integrations and data going all over the place. But I felt that we were, because of the ownership lacking on the tech stack, it caused, quite a few years of data hygiene issues building up. And it just really jumped out to me right away that we needed to put some love into that. And when you are in these kinds of companies, a lot of people have experienced, the rate of change being really high, and it exacerbates all the other changes. So these are some of the things that I noticed when I came in. Yeah, these are the things that popped up. It did take me a while to do some deep thinking and like really, it took me time to be able to summarize this clearly because I was also ramping. So, but I think they're actually like, these are common things, right? So we can come together in talks like this and really help each other deal with some of these things. When I Zoom,
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the last, go back to the last slide real quick.
Yep.
I just had a question around, so you mentioned project management in Asana, knowledge base in Notion. Can you define what you mean by project management and knowledge base? So like what, like project management, like again, this is the challenge is the space you walked into. So when you say project management was in Asana, like what does that actually mean? And then how is that different? Like what is knowledge base being in Notion? Can you just define those things for us?
Yeah, definitely. So knowledge base, to go in that direction, knowledge base for us, we have a RevOps knowledge base on Notion, and it has all of our documentation. And across that documentation, it's a mix of stuff that's like made for and used by RevOps, but all of our sales facing documentation is there. So when they need to know how to do a process or basically that's it. Like it's where all of the process is summarized in our documentation. It's organized really nicely, but we didn't do any project management from there. And in terms of project management, we would the framework that we used, we have some of the process still in place, but what we would do back then was we had Asana, we had the tasks or projects broken down just into sections P1, P2, P3/backlog. And each week on Monday in our weekly meeting, we would intake stuff into a like not yet prioritized bucket. And then we would every week just go through the not yet prioritized stuff. But not everything that you intake can wait for that next week's Monday meeting. So we were doing a lot of like recalibrating, reprioritizing all the time because we didn't have the additional supporting things, but we were literally using it for project management. So like we would know where something is up to and what we've been working on, but we didn't have reporting and insights.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So essentially all of your, call it process level documentation, right? The things that defined and described what RevOps is and how RevOps does their thing at Rose Rocket was in Notion, but all of the actual tasks and the things like the work items, the things that people actually had to do, projects that they rolled up to were in Asana.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yep. Thank you for helping me clarify that. So it was definitely a low-hanging fruit and like kind of an obvious decision to move to that. But yeah, zooming out, I think to summarize those challenges is that the team was experiencing the growing pains that indicated they're ready to evolve to the next level of RevOps team maturity. which is, you can look at these and think that, oh, that sounds like a lot of things that are, kind of difficult and challenging, but it's exciting to be a part of something like this. And we took steps on it. So I feel like as a fresh eyes newcomer, I could see all of this really clearly. People who are in it are like, they're doers and they're really efficient as a team. But the ramp, just as a fun fact, the ramp that I experienced at this company was much longer than I've ever experienced. And that's quite a humbling experience. Like I'm an operations minded person and I always want to know how everything works, but there was so much stuff here. Like I wanted to move from smaller companies to a bigger company. And there's so much, in these companies, you are pivoting as a company with your actual go-to-market strategy. And every time you make big pivots, obviously create a lot of work for RevOps, but a lot of small ones also, like there was so much going on. And so there was so much history to understand and so much work. So I was really able to, I wanted to be helpful, so I was like trying to figure out ways that I could help the team before I could help on the actual work. And the ability of me to do actual work has, that was part of my ramp. And I can definitely take on stuff now, but 10 months in is like, now my main priority was like making sure I got myself to a point where I could support, because I'm a player coach role, right? I do a lot of the actual work. And making enough time for leading the team is something that, is a juggle. But yeah, that's where I was coming in from to see these things, which makes sense to me. And then I started in July. In December, we did a 2-day team kind of like, it wasn't an offsite, but we blocked off the meeting and we said, hey, the RevOps team is going underground to work on, it's kind of like a yearly planning thing. And that was so powerful for us because that's where we really made a lot of these decisions together. And doing that in December and then coming into the start of the year on all the good decisions that we made, which I'm going to jump into right now. So while we were still in Asana in Q4, we set about quickly improving our intake process right away. So we just started asking additional, and we just, for also context, we don't have a form that people have to come to us with to request something from RevOps. We have a RevOps channel and people are invited to use that as much as possible rather than DMs. And the reason why we don't want to force people to have a form right now. Right now, it's much better for us if we fill out the form and we can ask all the discovery questions that we want. There's so many other things unrelated to us that the sales team has to do and remember. Most of our work is for the sales team. And so reading the room, knowing your client, they are our client. We do not have a form for them right now. We do our own intake. So we go over into, at the time it was Asana, now we go into Notion, but we fill out, the project details and we ask, what is the, who's it coming from? Which team, which individual? What's the lift? What is the revenue impact? And revenue impact is like sometimes a bit of a finger in the wind, but it's like how quickly and how much of an impact will this have on revenue? So we kind of use that. We also, what else do we add to intake? Lift. We also started estimating how long something would take and then putting how long it actually did take. And I'm really amazed at our ability. Like it is not hard to convince a RevOps team to do good intake and be good about your data. The team did such a good job of just like adjusting and just doing it right away. Because we feel the value of it right away too. But we actually don't use anything specific to do our time tracking. It just works. We just go, I think this will take 2 hours. And then when you're closing it out, you're like, well, this actually took like 4 hours. So those are the things we did right away. You do not have to wait to improve your intake and read your own room, know your own client in how you do that, whether they're filling the form or you are, but it's always going to depend. Then we did decide to switch over. And, me and one of my other team members was super keen right away. And the other one was like, I'm not sure. So we took time to make sure that she was comfortable. And eventually she came to us and said, I'm ready. Let's do this. And that was really an exciting moment for us. And one of my team members, Evelyn, was like, I want to work on this project. I want to be part of the migration. And I just said to her, can we please make sure it's ready in the first week of January so that we're starting off the year with this like great new setup? And she did that. The setup was not painful at all. She did such a great job. And to be able to start the year that way was really, really awesome.
How long did that take
Yeah.
you? The like call it migrate?
Yeah. I don't think we captured that, which is so funny that I just said all of that, but I can give you an
Or even
estimation.
from yeah, even from like you mentioned you rolled it out or had it ready by the beginning of the year.
Okay, so she
Like,
did a little bit of prep at the end of
yeah,
the year. She needed to just like do a little bit of discovery, right, to figure out what the plan was. So I would say if you put all the time together that she spent on it, it would have been like less than a week to like figure out, because she figured out how you migrate. Literally, there's like a good process. It was a painless migration because Asana to Notion, they have the tools that help
yeah,
you do that pretty easily. And then it's building out your relational databases, and we added to it over time. So we started the year with our ability to do the project management with the main database where our projects are and the intake process that we were doing at that time. And then we started adding in other pieces. So you can take away from this is that you can do this fast. It's
yeah.
not a painful thing to set up, for sure. Good question.
And maybe you might dive into some of these details later, but at least on the intake process itself, I know you mentioned one shared Slack channel or a Slack channel where people can submit their requests, no form required to fill them out.
Mm-hmm.
I only was wondering, did you like, can anybody post any sort of request in that Slack channel, or are you
Mm-hmm.
trying to limit it to like say certain stakeholders that are like, okay, if you're, if you're an AE, you can't submit a request, or if you do, we're going to ignore it. It's got to come from a manager or a director. Did you have any requirements there?
Not yet. I mean, I don't think that we're at the size where we need to do that, but we have a need to make sure that everyone is heard and supported. And so everyone, literally everyone in the entire company, is, because what we want to avoid more than that is stuff getting lost in DMs. Because like I mentioned, we all have to need to know how to do most things. For right now, that's how our team works. So having as much visibility for all of us as possible is super key. So we have to kind of sometimes divert people away from DMs and say, I'm sorry, can you please post this in the channel? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's completely open.
Okay. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I want to give a nice shout out to our director of data, Jade, for inspiring this part. Be ruthless about prioritization. I would encourage you to like, what I noticed with the data team at our company was that they seemed to be in a similar boat to us, right? They're a team that had to work with a lot of other teams in a almost like a service type fashion, like we do. And when I observed their team and how they worked, I said to Jade, your team seems very similar to mine, but you guys seem further ahead in how you work. Like you're working better than we are. And I really want to know how you did that. So if you have any advice for me, like let me know. And she said, you need to be ruthless about prioritization. And I love that. It's like I was talking to to my manager, Gaetano, last week, and I said, one of our people, we're down one person this month, and I said we're literally gonna have to be extremely ruthless about prioritization. And to be super like transparent with you, like we struggle with saying no, and we always have, and everybody knows that, because we just want to help everybody. But at a certain point, you do need to start saying no to things, and it's really hard if you've conditioned people that like we're going to help you no matter what. But we use those like the lift and the we just have to really think about things and like, does this matter? It's really hard to do this well when you have so much stuff going on. But it's just always going to be a work in progress. And at different points in time, you can approach it differently. This month, we actually have a really good reason to say no to things because we're down a person. We're at like 60% capacity. So, but continue to always be learning and figuring out how to be ruthless at prioritization if you're dealing with some of the challenges that we talked about today. I love this realization that I had. At one point, I think I was about 3 or 4 months in. That is when I personally started time blocking properly. And if I remember to do this before the end, I should have put a screenshot on here. I time block every single second of every minute of my day and week. I look at the week and it already has all its meetings with other people. And then I look at my stuff that I have to do and I literally time block it because I literally can't not do it anymore. When I started doing that, my ability to actually complete things and feel less scattered it really, really helped me. And I just laughed at that point. I was like, it can't be as simple as like this having this much of an impact, but it does. And I think I put a caveat here. The way I do it, I be super flexible and fluid, and I stay on top of it. If I find that I had scheduled myself to do X thing, but the other thing went over time, or I had to adjust to do something else because something came up, I will just put it there. And it's not hard. It doesn't take a lot of time. I know there's other tools to do that for you as well sometimes, but I'm not ready personally to use one of those tools yet. I may get one in future, but blocking your time is simple and powerful. We now have a roadmap where we didn't have one really before. And I think that's because we were very reactive, and having a roadmap is a little bit more of a strategic thing. We're not doing it perfectly, which I'll talk about, but we said we went backwards, which is, I think I have a note to talk about this at the end. We looked at our work and said, what would the epics be? Even if we didn't decide for them to be, what are the things that just reveal themselves as epics? And if you've worked in agile methodology before, which I have picked up a lot from all of the engineering teams and software companies I've worked at, but those are kind of like your high level areas that you're working on, and all your stuff should map up to those things, basically. I probably butchered that description, but that's my understanding of it and how we use it. Roadmap is key. It really helps us feel like we're being more strategic. So that was really awesome for us. Collaborate and co-create that roadmap. And something that we put in place that I'm going to show you after is monthly scorecards. And it's really the basis of how I work with the stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, I'm talking about the leaders of the teams on go-to-market. So it's the person that is the director of marketing, the VP of sales, head of CX. There's about 10 people. Some of them are lead and manager level too. I just had to sort of determine who do I want to know these things from each month. And that'll be different for different companies. So with the scorecard, again, I'll show it to you later, but what we're doing with that is we're tracking key areas of RevOps that we support with those teams. There's 5 of them. And we also ask them for 2 priorities to go into the next month's roadmap. Like, what's top of mind for you, knowing that when you tell it to me, it is going in the roadmap. So in that way, we're co-creating it. We also changed up our meetings. We have a daily stand-up. We have a weekly meeting where we kind of decide what we're doing that week. And we did not have a monthly meeting before. So now we have a monthly meeting, and that is where one of the ways that we are making sure we're more strategic. The monthly meeting, we just had it this morning. Actually, it's for reviewing. Now that we have reporting from Notion on what work we completed, we can look at, we get insights from that. Like, most of our time is split between sales and other teams. And other for us is not go-to-market. It's product, engineering, things like that. And now we have the data to show who's not getting our attention: marketing, customer experience. We have a new division called Classic Ops because we re-platformed our product last year. Like, we can see and prove that we are not putting the attention on some places that I think it was assumed were getting some attention, things like that. So we can look at the previous month's work that we completed and look for insights, and it tells us so much. And we look at, we can do a stop, start, continue if we have time. Also, that meeting is where we go through the scorecards. So we look at how are the stakeholders rating things that are the 5 things that we'll talk about, and what are they wanting us to put in the next roadmap. So we're finalizing the April roadmap right now. We're going to keep it really light because we are at 60%. But the key takeaway there is to structure your meetings to facilitate the world, like the world building. This is something I learned from marketing. They're using this terminology now, but this whole approach, it is about project management, but you're building a world and everything has to make sense together. So structure your meetings to facilitate what your overarching approach. I don't mean to be that person who's clap talking, but offload stuff that you shouldn't own. Like, as your company grows, you got to look at what you have on your plate and be like, should this go to accounting? Should this go to product ops? Like, yeah, I think it's just part and parcel of growing and part and parcel of RevOps. I know at least at our company, we will lean in where it needs. And sometimes we don't know when we need to lean back out again. But it's all part of the process. And you have to do several rounds of that every now and again because your company is growing. And then this one, I think this one, the GTM memo changelog and the scorecards are my favorite things about what we changed, because literally I remember being like, some things just sound so simple that it'd be like, that wouldn't be helpful. But we literally just have one of the databases in Notion is called a GTM memo changelog. Anytime we change something significant enough that it has a few details, we literally make a memo. That way we know when that thing changed, because we change stuff all the time. And the sales team needs a source of truth place to know simply that on this date, we changed lead scoring, or on this date, we changed our pricing calculator. And it's not meant to have much information at all. It's when did it happen? What is it in a sentence? Which teams does it affect? Like ENT BDRs, like inside BDRs. And it will have a link to any relevant documentation. And that's where all of the big, heavier information is going to be. And now we can literally point back to that when someone's like, oh, when did we change X thing? Or like, what was it that happened on that when we changed that stuff? We have that information and it's helping everyone. So that was a really great addition that we started benefiting from that right away. So that's the full set of solutions. And I won't talk. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing, and this might be kind of on this slide, but some questions on the prioritization. So one, you mentioned like having the P1, P2, P3 backlog. And you mentioned also one of the important things, being ruthless about how you prioritize. So one person asked, and I think this plays into it, how are you calculating, or are you calculating the revenue impact of projects or things that you work on? Does that go into how you prioritize? And then Valerie also asked how you prioritize the amount of time you spend on the things that you intake, whether they're one-off tasks or projects. How do you think through what should be a P1 versus a P2 versus a P3 and kind of go in the backlog?
Great questions. I love it. The first question was, I think what that's pointing to is, are we closing the loop on whether something did have a revenue impact at all, and if it was the impact level that we thought it would be? That is something that is a great idea and that I would like to add in future, but we are not closing the loop on what we estimated right now. I think we are pretty in our gut on a lot of things, and right now the purpose of it is to direct our focus and our time and our energy, so that we are noticing and taking a second to think about what would the impact be if I did this. And right now we know exactly what our goals are this quarter. And it's like, if this will literally help, if I'm thinking about the answer for too long, the answer is probably no. And it's probably going to be a low revenue impact project. And we're just going to have to make sure we intake it, but we're not prioritizing it right now, which is a good segue into how do we determine whether something's P1, P2, or backlog. Loosely speaking, what ended up happening organically was that P1s are things we're working on either this week or next week. P2 is just, this could be completed, in the 1 to 2 weeks after that, or sometime later in this month or next month. That's my rough answer for that.
Okay. So it sounds like you are doing some estimation of revenue impact for items that you'll work on, but you're not necessarily closing the loop to see if those estimates were like accurate, or how accurate.
Exactly. Yeah. It would be quite a lift to add in how we measure it back, but I think it's a smart thing to do, and I would definitely like to put that in place in future. Yeah. Great questions. And then I just literally laid everything out with which solutions had an impact or helped with which opportunities. And it's really, it's actually better to look at it like this, where you use a bit of, just basic color coordination to pattern stuff together, for want of a better way to look at this. But the biggest impact changes were improving our intake and switching our tool. And these are the things that really helped. We offloaded, we did all these things. And I think the space of time that we did this was like 3 to 6 months of because it doesn't just involve going and switching your tool, it involves change that needs to be done over time. So I started to really make those observations in Q4. We had our big meeting at the end of Q4, and then we basically, as of the start of the year, we started making all the changes, and we were live in Notion within the first week. And I had the idea for the scorecards, but it really took I will say, it took a lot of trial and error on how we operationalized the scorecards. But I feel like right now we're at about 95% of where I want it to be, where it's working really, really great. So I'm happy to show people a bit more about that as well. I don't know if there's any questions popping up right now before I go on to looking at all of this in a visual.
Go ahead. Let's go to the next one.
Amazing. So I made this to sort of help me think about it and understand. It's not super pretty. I literally made this with Google Drawings, which nobody uses and people don't even know exists. We do have Lucidchart, but I made this before we switched over to that. But I have honestly pulled this up in conversations a lot of times to help people understand how we work. It's like a funny joke everywhere you go. People are like, what is RevOps? And that's fine. It is what it is. It's a new discipline. It's 10 years old. So and it's also honestly different at every company too. But we made this and can you see my mouse moving here?
Yeah.
Okay. So it kind of starts over here. We talked about the open RevOps Slack channel. We have conversations in meetings and in the hallway. Everything kind of starts over here. Then it goes into the main tracker, P1, P2, whatever, or this is project 1, project 2. We use subtasks, but we don't do any more levels below that of subtasks or anything, project tasks. The projects that we do should map up, if we're doing our job, a lot of them, but not all of them, should map up into an epic in our roadmap. And then if we identify an epic, we obviously want to go back and make sure we add and create some projects under it. And then the scorecards. So these are the 5 areas that I was telling you about. We've got tools and access, reporting, process, documentation, and overall efficiency. And the way that I do it is that I ask the stakeholders to think about those things. I send the scorecard at the month change. And I say, when you look back on the last month, what would you rate these with a traffic light sentiment? And then for your 2 priorities you're going to give me, that's for the coming month. So they're all getting a bit into the swing of it now. And the part that was trial and error, like I said, was how we operationalized it. I wanted to obviously make it simple for them. And it was I was like, here's a Slack, use an emoji, but it didn't work. So what we ended up settling on was a type form. Obviously type forms are really great experience to fill out. It only takes them 2 minutes and it maps into Notion, and I'll show you guys what it looks like in Notion after that. And then down the bottom, I just noted how we have our meetings in case somebody finds that, their world has a lot of the challenges that we had. These are the meetings that work for us: daily stand-up, weekly meeting to plan our week, and then the monthly meeting that's more strategic, where we can review. Sorry, I'm just moving the Zoom thing. Yeah, where we review the scorecards, roadmap, etc. Any questions here?
I don't think so. I think we're good. So
Okay,
yeah.
I'm just being cognizant of time. The next thing I wanted to do was, oh, where's my other slide gone? Weird. Sorry, guys. Okay. Boom. It's funny because I'm already going to be going into Notion in a second, but this is a nice little view that gives you a preview before we go in. And I'm not going to do a long tour at all of our Notion, but we have the project tracker. So that's kind of this is the header of our page. And then we have a focus for every month as a team. Our focus this month is ruthless prioritization. In February, it was keep it simple. No, yeah, March, it was keep it simple because we just wanted to apply simplicity to everything. February, it was over communication because we work remote in February and August every year. And in January, it was ruthless organization because we were upturning a lot of the things that we did. So there's the projects database, the roadmap database, the scorecards. You can see those traffic light sentiments there. And then this is the GTM changelog. Let's just quickly have a look to see what that looks like. You can see Notion now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it looks like this. We all have our own views we can go to as well. We put the monthly meeting stuff together. But yeah, like let me like just quickly show you if I had a project right now. Test. Owner, let me just expand this. Who's asking? What's the revenue impact? These are really basic properties. Where did it come from? Estimated time. And this calculates out for us after. And then is it related to a scorecard, which is good to know. And we have this little section, subtasks go here. So quick background when you're doing discovery. What's the high level plan in like a sentence? The actual plan should go in tasks and then outcome before closing tasks. The reason I do that is to make sure that we make note of anything we want to remember later. Like, oh, I know I did this project and I know I had a closing thought about it. What was that? If we jump over to, so yeah, we have P1 kind of displays at the top, P2 is there. Honestly, to answer your other question before too, backlog is stuff that we're intaking it, but we're honest in that we're probably not going to do it. And I don't find I encounter a lot of those things. I probably should do more of those, but it's helpful. And that was the definition that was given to me. Roadmap, these are the epics, all the ones with the little trucks. A lot of them will go across many different months because they're initiatives like we're trying to fix our top of funnel reporting. That is something that has taken quite some time. So under each epic, you're going to see the related projects. So all the relational databases in here are really, really awesome. There's nothing that's isolated. Everything's connected. I got my tech stack there. This is the change log. So anytime there's a significant change, we're going to literally put it here. It should never have too much information. There's just a bunch of, that one actually does quite a lot of information, but like, yeah, you should be it's just a note basically of something, and then the scorecards, you can see like a scorecard. If I expand this, it will show me like the scorecard and I can pop it open and it works like the same as a project. And then it's really cool, like looking at this. So these were all the submissions, right? We've got a lot of red on data hygiene. No surprises there. I already called us out on that. And it's just nice. I get excited when I see a red because I'm like, this is a clear signpost of something we need to work on. And having that clarity is like really, really beneficial. And we can also look at it over time. Sorry, where is it? Based on the team. So we can see, oh, something like, was okay, but then it's gone back to yellow, or like, if something's was green and turned red, or we also celebrate where something wasn't good and it went good, like it went back to green. I think that's everything I just wanted to quickly show in here so as to not like overwhelm anyone. The last call out is like, we do have a section where we, not yet prioritized, where we throw everything in there. And we'll talk about them each week at our meeting and try to get them into the priority set. Any questions?
You've got your Notion stuff looks awesome and like organized and clean, visually appealing. I'm curious, you walked us through all this stuff. So I guess I'm just curious, like what existed when you first started in Notion, and then what did you like? How did that evolve or grow to where it is?
I see what you're
Where
saying.
it is today. Yeah, like was there anything that anything that's in here now that you didn't start with when you first
this is all we had, Matt. Like we had the knowledge base, which I didn't show you because it's really just like in sections. This is a lot of documentation. It's all documentation, and that is all we had. What we had in Asana was just this part, like the project part.
Okay.
And all the other pieces are pieces that came in. So the scorecards, I didn't actually add the go-to-market change log onto this because it didn't exist when I made this, but the roadmap is new, the scorecards are new. It was really this part was what existed. So see what I mean when I say like we just needed more meat in what we were doing, like or bolstering. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds like as a company, was Rose Rocket already primarily using Notion? So like other teams are using it and like company-wide things are.
Exactly. When we were looking at Notion, when we were looking at Asana, and we said to ourselves, "This isn't cutting it. What should we do?" I'm going to talk about this after too, but I was speaking to a guy in the RevOps co-op community called Kelvin, and he is super awesome. If anyone ever wants to, we should use this community because it's making these great, collaborations and friendships really. And he took me through his ClickUp. And I was like, this is awesome. But what I took from that was all the fundamentals. And you can take these fundamentals and use them in any project management environment. It's just that Notion is a really good one for it because it's very open and flexible. And yes, our teams were already using Notion. So obviously I don't want to create too much extra work for myself or my team. Like, it was a pretty, clear decision that this is already here. If we're going to start somewhere, let's start somewhere that's, completely accessible right now.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, the like one of the, and I think this was maybe your like one of your key themes, but also, simplicity and eliminating complexity. The more, again, the more tools you have in the mix, the more complex, inherently complex things will be. So
Mm-hmm.
there's obviously manual effort associated with your team switching between something like Asana and Notion when you're doing your work out of both. But then there's also data points that are getting created in both systems. There's upkeep, maintenance, right? Like if you can
Mm-hmm.
move that into just one space, it
Yep.
makes it a lot easier.
Yep.
And
And
oh,
yeah.
I asked you before on the intake side. So shared Slack or Slack channel setup, anybody can submit their request in there.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have multiple people on the RevOps team. So how would you, like, when something comes into that Slack channel, how do things make their way from the Slack channel into Notion? Like, is somebody on your team assigned to the Slack channel and it's their job to do the intake? Do you all have a process where it's like first come, first serve, throw like a check
Mm.
emoji on it when it's been completed?
Yeah.
And
So
only the RevOps team, only your RevOps team that submits things in Notion, or are other people actually like doing stuff to get things into Notion?
good questions. So when somebody submits something on the channel, we're just all watching, and usually somebody will put the eyes emoji if they're like, I'm going to look into this right now, like just as a very quick thing. If Evelyn puts eyes on it, I'm gonna just let's like wait and see what she comes up with. She might tag me, or she might tag Leah, or she might run with it, or it might just be there's nothing to be done except to answer a question, or like share a link to something. But that's what we do first. And then you can like right click from Slack and send something into Notion. But what we found was that it wasn't using our template when it did that. It would just create like a kind of empty state sort of. So we haven't used that yet. It might be that we just need to figure out how to do it if you have a template. But right now we don't do that. We sort of just talk to the person in the channel, ask the clarifying questions that we have, and then one of us will add it. And I have to say, I am very heavy-handed on just grabbing something and putting it straight in to the to be prioritized section. And my team knows that I do that quite a lot. And I'm happy to just be the person who does that, so that we're capturing it. But they do a lot of creating them themselves too. But it is just our team for now that creates the stuff in Notion. We've got our Notion fully open to anyone who wants to come and see it, especially like the stakeholders could come and see their stuff in their scorecards and everything. But I don't think they do it, but they have access. And the only reason no one else creates stuff is like just learning curve time. Like we build this for us, but we don't hide it. So
Yeah, makes
mm,
sense. Well, I think I like the point. I like the point that you brought up about uh, understanding who your user, your client is, right? So in your case, you get a lot of things from the sales team. Do you want them, say filling out a form, introducing another piece of friction, or would you rather one manage the data points and the intake process yourself,
mm,
make sure that you're capturing the right data, it gets put in the right places because your team is going to be the one who needs to execute on that. So
mm,
so yeah, that all makes a lot of sense. And then obviously, like as a team of three, the process that you have in place now for getting stuff into your Notion, into your database, onto your to-do list, I
mm,
think works. And then, I think we were having this discussion in the chat, I think, because Brendan brought
Mm,
up that, like as his company grew, they went from this being open to everyone submitting a request to only, kind of senior leaders. And I would imagine in your case, it would be probably the same sort of thing where eventually you'd need to have, some sort of limitations either on who can submit the request, but also making sure that the RevOps team has, a tight process in terms of, okay, and here's how things get in and
mm.
on to the actual list of things that we're going to be working on.
Yeah, I love that because it kind of gives me a signpost of where we might need to be evolving to later. And that's really helpful for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly show literally super high level the steps that you would take if you wanted to go and run with this tomorrow in Notion. And then I'm just going to share final thoughts after that. So if you've never used Notion before, I literally on the weekend, I was sick and my family went away for Easter without me because I didn't want to make anyone sick in an 8-hour car drive. And I was like, I wonder if I could use Notion for my music stuff. I do music on the side, and I spent the entire weekend nerding out. But it's for me, the reason that took so long was because I had all of this information scattered everywhere. So what I was migrating in, but the setup is super fast. So you create a new workspace. You create the main projects database. So you split that out by to be prioritized P1, P2, and backlog. I think it's just a field. And then you link relevant documentation from your knowledge base to each project during discovery. So it prompts you to think about, do we have documentation on this, or do we need to create it? Do we need to update existing, etc.? So like having that prompt is really handy. Then you migrate at that point is you'll be ready to migrate in your data from your old PM tool. You just have to set up obviously all the right properties on the projects. Then from there, because you have your projects, you can then create the roadmap database and then just connect them to the epics. And then you can create the scorecard one. We have just like a landing page section, like area that I showed you guys, and the submissions database. And then the type form is what captures, it's the form, to collect the information. And then you can integrate type form with Notion and it will populate all that stuff into your submissions area. Each month you connect new or existing projects to submissions. So when we're reviewing the submissions, we say, do we have something? Are we already working on this? And it happens a lot because they'll submit the similar things each month. What I want to mention about the scorecards is that closing the loop, like our director of CX was like, in the beginning, she was like, I'm submitting these. And then all I hear is the next month when you want me to submit it again. Like, what's happening on your side? What are you doing? And I was like, that is such helpful feedback because I haven't actually built in a closing loop to the process yet. So that helped me to evolve it and basically use it as a jumping off point. There was so many meetings happening all the time when I first joined. And there was like, at some point there was a crackdown on like, we have way too many meetings. Everybody stopped. So this is going to be controversial, but I stopped meeting with the stakeholders. I talked to them often, but the meeting, it was too much because of the way we work, like having to reprioritize after every conversation, after every thought, after every meeting, after anything happens at all, we have to recalibrate our entire set of work. And it was like, these meetings are just, you need stuff from me, but we go to that meeting and I just end up with a list of things to do with no time that I have to do those things. So it was actually quite stressful. And it's nobody's fault, but I just took away all my meetings basically, except for the ones with my team and some of the ones that I attend that are still relevant for me to help people. But now that I have these scorecards and the process down, I actually am going to start meeting with the stakeholders again because I have a framework that works. So there's that. And then you create that changelog database. With each memo, you also connect the relevant documentation. And then when you have all of this, you get visibility, reporting, insights, and you just look at that all monthly at that level. I know I'm trying to be really cognizant of time. I have like 6 thoughts to finish here. When you're working, work off of the project in Notion. Don't put your notes anywhere else in your other note-taking thing. Literally put all of your thoughts, reminders, everything on the project. And this organically builds documentation. I'll give you a quick example. Evelyn did a lot of our events work with the marketing team. She did list processing, all the stuff, all the ops that goes with an event. And then she was working on some other stuff. And the next month I had to help with that. Because we've been running this all for 3 months, I just went to her project and I knew immediately what I needed to do. So I don't have to take Evelyn away from what she's doing to get information from past Evelyn. Super helpful. And I was able to know exactly what I needed to do. Great intake also passively and organically builds documentation because we're getting that reporting. Me and Gaetano were talking about this yesterday. Intake everything with the 15-second rule. We can thank our friend Calvin for that as well. If something is going to take longer than 15 seconds to complete, you need to intake it. The intake doesn't take long. It literally takes 10 seconds. But the 15-second rule is really handy. If you're new to roadmaps, Evelyn tapped me on the shoulder last week and she goes, Kim, did you know we're doing things backwards? I was like, wait, what do you mean? And she goes, well, we have our roadmap, but the roadmap is just, it is what it is because we're just showing what is in our planner. I was like, yes. And she goes, we should be deciding what the epics are and then doing projects under them. And I said, you are correct. But that's, again, you have to work towards things. And so now that all the framework's there, then we become more strategic as a team and with our thinking. So that is coming and it was a good call out. We also applied a bunch of Notion automations. Happy to share that if anyone's interested, like the calculation of time, things like that. There's a few other ones. I mentioned before, this can be fast. It's quite lightweight. It's just powerful. It's honestly really powerful. I think that might be my last note. Calling out, yes. So this exact framework might not work for all teams, but I got a lot of this inspiration from having conversations with Kelvin and other people. And, maybe one piece of this whole thing will work for you. But yeah, exact framework. I just know that, every place is different. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I want to answer any questions. I'm sorry we went very close to the 2 o'clock.
No, this was awesome. So I guess a couple of things. One, I threw Kimberly's LinkedIn into the chat, so connect with her on LinkedIn. 2, she is also an active member of the community and is in our Slack group. So if you're not already a member of RevOps Co-op, you can join for free at our website, RevOpsCoop.com. That will get you invited to the Slack group. You can continue the conversation directly with Kimberly there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing I'll mention again, Kimberly brought up, a lot of this was sparked by a connection and a conversation that she made within the community. So whether it's digitally through Slack, please do that. Those sorts of connections are exactly what we're going to be doing at RevOpsAF in San Diego at the end of May. So if you want to do those things in person and get some of that Southern California sunshine, please do that as well. That is what we're here for. We want to help y'all do your job better, more easily, and hopefully make some friends in the process. So great example of that. Kimberly, thank you for walking us all through this too. It's top of the hour, so I'm going to let everyone run. But like I said, in the community, RevOpsAF, lots of opportunities to continue the conversation. So thank you to Kimberly for dropping some knowledge. Thank you to everyone out there who attended, and I'll see you all on the flip side. So take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.